everything?
The restaurant was dope. I thought I was a crazy person because I was just like eating filet mignon and drinking coffee.
You are a crazy person. It's on brand.
Yeah, so be it. Whatever. What's going on, Ultra Sport?
Springs 504.
Doc.
Hey Doc. Now you're on our live tonight.
My guy, Beneducci.
Let's go.
Hope everybody's doing well. Straight up excited for tonight.
Yeah.
Really, really excited.
Yep.
Give everybody a couple of minutes, then we'll do an intro.
It's like a stroke of luck that you met Mark too, right? It was just like
It was all work related.
happenstance.
Happenstance, correct.
I think it's serendipity.
I don't even know what that means, but I'm gonna roll with it.
See what you're in for, Doc. Doc agreed to come on. He's gonna join us for a night school.
Okay.
He runs one of the best Facebook groups. I don't like Facebook groups. I've said it a
Meta,
lot of
correct?
times. Meta. He has a Meta Universe group. And I've said it a lot. I don't like them, but he runs Sports Card Nation on Facebook, and it is, if you're not on there, go check it
Springs,
out.
thank you very much. Courtney rolls out of bed looking that way, and it takes the entire makeup team and staff to prop this pack of shit up to look like this. So I appreciate the kind words. Those folks are earning their paychecks. Yeah, so we're gonna be talking with Mark from Mark's Card Shop tonight, and on a side note, the way that we met Mark was my company was looking at some work in Illinois, and Illinois is originally home for us, so I liked the opportunity to go back, and I pulled off in this little old town of Downers Grove, and I looked over and I was like, what the hell? There's a card shop, and I took a picture of it, and then the inbox started flooding with people from Illinois saying, you got to go there. You got to stop there. And so kind of was like, got through work, got my project managers out of there, and went over to the card shop and bought some stuff and hung out with Mark. And I think everybody's going to really like his energy. He's a cool dude, and I'm sure he's going to school a lot of us.
Yeah. I'm excited. It was so funny because that day he posted that picture, and I sent from my personal Instagram. I'm like, do it. So,
Yeah, correct.
I was like...
And then Courtney and Steven ended up going to Three Kings that same day. So the
Yeah,
Reckless Plan was everywhere.
Go to a sports card shop, so we're going. Fun fact, the day that me and Steven went there, we had our most successful TikTok we have ever had.
I don't know what any of that means, but cool.
So Mark, if you're on, I think I saw you on, just join, ask to join, and then we'll add you and we can get started.
Oh.
Jeremy needs all the powder because he gets really shiny. So shiny.
I know. Hey, Springs. I know. The Starbucks in our town decides to shut down earlier and earlier each day. And it is truly we're going to have to talk with the manager or something.
I know. And also, they haven't sponsored us yet, so sometimes we switch it up. When they give us a sponsorship, we'll just make sure we always have Starbucks.
All right.
My phone is dirty, or there's a weird line. I don't know what that is.
So what the hell is that?
Well,
There he
hello.
is.
Hey, everybody.
Mark, how are you, young man?
Oh, good. Just not very tech savvy, obviously. I'm on the desktop here trying to join, having all sorts of trouble. So I got the phone. Of course, the phone's not charged, so now I'm trying to balance things, and we're making it work, guys. How you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, you were too busy slinging cardboard to worry about having to charge phone.
Playing a lot of cardboard today, man.
So did we. Randomly to you.
Good. Yeah, we got a nice little trade. We'll have to touch on that. What's up, Eastman? So
Yeah,
I'm trying to balance this because, of course, my phone's dead. Oh, well, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, whatever you need. So I will say that these night schools, and that's just kind of a fun thing, but we like to get on and just have a fun, casual conversation about a specific topic within the hobby. And as anybody knows, routinely these days, everything is negative and it's all about beating people down and, talking ill about others, where we like to keep it light, have fun, bring positivity, and educate, because there's a lot of people that, want to learn about this sort of stuff. And so for me, as a youth growing up in Woodstock, Illinois, hanging out at the card shop was the highlight of my summer day. if I was able to get my parents to give me a couple of bucks, earn a couple of bucks, and then go and talk cards was truly a dream. And so for every person that's on here, it was like a 12-year-old through 15-year-old boy or somebody like Courtney that collected cards. You're living. Yeah, you're a 12-year-old. You are living the dream. And so the amount of engagement, the amount of people who have reached out, asking questions, wanting to know what goes into it.
By far the most questions that we have ever gotten,
Wow.
ever, for one of these, because I put it every week after I announce who our guest is. Then I post questions. Like usually I do a couple polls, and then a few questions like, hey, what do you think about, like, with regards to, like, last week we did breaking, you know, who's your favorite breaker, have you ever used it? This time I did like literally 2 polls and one like, hey, what questions do you have about running a card shop? I got no less than probably 50 responses to that. Wow. Which is insane for one of these, because most people just like they'll answer the yes or no stuff, which I learned, but the actually asking a question, most people just kind of skip over that part. Not this time. We had a ton of questions.
It's a fun topic. I mean, I get it. I mean, geez, 7 months ago when I was starting this thing, I was watching Card Collector 2's YouTube and just like how to open a card shop. It was like, it had so many views, and I'm like, it's a lot of people out there interested in doing something like this. So happy to help where I can, share my experience, and have a fun conversation about it. But I'm excited to be here, guys. Thanks so much for, you know, bringing me on. Appreciate you.
Brian's awesome too, and his shop's so cool. So
how did, let's go to the beginning. How did you decide to open a card shop? Was it you were overtaking the house with your cards and you were selling a little bit and your wife's like, get the hell out? Or like, how did it go?
Oh my God.
That you're going to have Mark's Card Shop?
Oh yeah. It's a combination of things, honestly. Like definitely we have like this lofted space. It was getting way too crowded. Lots of cards, lots of stuff. So like, of course, like every collector deep in the hobby, like you're gonna, all right, Jack, I'll see you soon. Sorry, I can't help. I've never done like the live like that. I'm like, I love it. Just the comments. But
you'll get completely distracted in what you're doing. You'll just start responding to these people.
But yeah, so it was a combination of things. Like, you know, obviously I'll start from square one. I was a big collector in the 90s, loved cards, just had a ton of fun with it. But then, you know, kind of got out of the hobby a bit, you know, familiar story. Got back in 2018, and it was just like, oh my God, Luca hunting, then Ja Zion hunting, and then just now I own a card shop. So like, what can change in the amount of just a couple years is remarkable, and it blows my mind that I'm even talking about this with you guys right now. But yeah, it's just a combination of, you know, having too many cards, being in love with this hobby, you know, wanting to own a business, honestly, has been a lifelong dream of mine. And to do all of it, you know, a lot of people are just like, that's unrealistic. You can't do that. You can't marry those two things. And, you know, I just said, why not? I was getting really sick of the career I was in. I was in a sales career that was probably a few years too far. And yeah, I'm just grateful to be in the position to be doing this every day. And I absolutely love doing it. So
that's so cool. So what was your vision for your card shop? Like when you were like picturing what it would be, like how did it look in your mind, and have, like, because I know it takes time. I've owned a couple businesses, so I know it takes time to like get to the point where like in your mind it's supposed to be. So are you at the point where like your vision has come to fruition, or do you still like see it taking like a little while longer? Because you've only been open for like 6 months, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in some ways, yes, like I nailed the vision that I had hoped would happen. Like I wanted a community driven shop. I wanted people to come in, feel comfortable to, you know, spend their $2-3 budget on cards and hang out for a few hours, or come in and rip some big boxes, but good vibes only, and just community and people coming in, talking, socializing about cards, sports, you know, family, friends, life. Nothing's off limits. And like that 100% has been accomplished. I can't even fathom the community, just a little small little pocket we have and we've created with all the people, all these friends I've created out of thin air, people I did no idea about. I'd walk past a year ago and not even know who they are. Now they're like have a meaningful part of my life, and it's amazing. It's honestly, I couldn't ask for anything better as far as that's concerned. And then of course on like the business side, like of course, like there's so many goals and milestones I still have ahead and things I want to do. So it's like, no, we're not finished. We're not even close. We're not even, I mean, we're on track. I'll say that much. We're on track. But
awesome.
Well, I think something that'll make you feel good is, I don't know if you caught it when we first came on is my company was looking at a job, like at a sewer that runs right next to your shop. And I had pulled off to look at a map. And I just took a screenshot of your building and I threw it up. I'm like, does anybody heard of this shop? Is it worth stopping? And like within 15 minutes at like 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 Eastern, I probably got like 10 responses of people saying, Mark's the greatest, Mark's the best. And like, what are the odds that somebody are following us that know you? And to get that kind of reaction that quickly in the morning is a testament to what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm like, oh, cool. You found literally that day too, I can't remember who it was, but it was like a bigger guy was like, hey, I need Chicagoland card shops. I'm like, hell, I don't even know any. And then he posted that. So I sent him the screenshot of your card shop. I'm like, apparently this is the fireplace to be in Chicago. Check it out. But that's part of like the network and making friends. You know, I agree. Like we have people now that are like family to us.
Straight up, just family. I mean, people like I literally could bump into at the grocery store, and it's like we're best buds. There's so many people that have a spot in my heart now, and I barely know most of them, but it's just like we familiarize each other quickly. We get to know each other, and we just are honest and transparent, and we spread good vibes, and it turns into something special. I'll tell you that much.
So Courtney's mentioned that what was the vision? And I think everybody has like they're in their mind of like what a brick and mortar is going to look like. Mm-hmm. And unless you have like just incredible amounts of disposable income, do you go and find a building that'll have you and then adjust to that? Or can you like just, because the questions we got were like everything from cradle to grave. So if you could just kind of talk through like, okay, I knew I could afford this. So then automatically I was looking at these sorts of buildings because they were within my budget, like kind of just talk through and go into detail if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it started, I'll circle back to like start of the year. I was a director of sales for a startup company, just not feeling it, right? Great company, love what they do. My heart was not in it. And I'm sitting there like, all right, I got to figure something else out. So while I should have been looking for maybe another job because to make a long story short, I just quit that job with no plan. I had that kind of talking to the Friday before, Mark, your performance. I'm like, I'm 89 days into this place. Like, this is not good. I quit the next Monday with no plan. Not something I would recommend anyone do. But immediately I'm supposed to be on a job board. I just start looking at spaces. I'm like, no, I'm going to do something different. No direction, but I'm just on these real estate websites. I don't know. Something drove me to just be like, just call them, see what the rent will be. So I called one place and they're like, all right, it's like $1,800. And she was kind of short with me. And, she maybe weeded out that I wasn't a serious, potential suitor for what she needed. And I basically found this other spot. And I'm like, I know that spot. My wife and I have walked past that spot a few times. Like, it's right on the corner. It's got a ton of windows, great natural light, right across the street from the post office, right by the police station. So I'm like, I'm going to call that place. So I called them up. Better rent price, really friendly, family-owned rental property company, that's big tip for anyone even looking to this or any small business. Like, go with a family-owned rental company. Don't go with one of the big megacorps. You're not going to get any deals. You're not going to get any special treatment. You're not going to there's no relationship there. You're just a number. So finding the right spot, honestly, is what kind of drove this, because then I just started taking one more step in front of the other. Started having those conversations with my wife. Hey, by the way, you want to just check this space out for what? Like, what do you mean? But she is so supportive. Like, and she saw that my journey was kind of coming to an end with sales, and knew I'd always wanted to own a business, and knew I had such a passion for cards and sports, and like honestly entertained me. I wouldn't even say at first she thought it was a real thing, but she just entertained it and was like, yeah, all right, let's go check it out. I remember we went with our beautiful daughter Lucy, and it was like we kind of just were like looking around, and the lady we were dealing with was so nice, and it was just everything felt right. And we left, and we're like, this is real deal. Like, it's only 650 square feet, but like I'm like, I can picture the bargain bins there, which were a necessity in my mind. Have the singles, have a space for people to go hunt, have a space for people to find some deals. And again, not a lot of people want to rip expensive wax. So they're sitting there, they want to, or even retail. So, and showcases sometimes beyond people, or they just don't want to pay, they're done chasing $100 autos. They want to go for the bins. So I'm like, I want to have quarter bins, dollar bins. I want to have 10 cents separated by team. I want to have, $2 to $10 bin, which I feel like I'm kind of known for now, my 2 to 10 bin. At least again in our little circle here. But it's a lot of fun to just think back because it was just inching closer and closer until finally it was like kind of like, wait, am I really going to do this? And then you get into the whole, finding fixtures and all the stuff that goes into actually making this thing happen and getting ready for open. And I mean, we can get into that too. But the vision was just around like, making this place accessible, not only via the location, but also like in terms of like what people can buy and browse. I'm not some massive card emporium off the highway where I need to be some superstore that has 150 showcases. And like, I'm like, this is a small shop, but I want to make it, make an impact when people walk in. Be like, wow, I can spend a couple hours in here and get some value in those bins, as my wife says. Sorry, I did it again. I was like on a 10-minute streak of not looking at the comments, and then I screwed up.
No, but the spot is incredible. It looks so modern and new, and then like the lighting and the way you have it set up, it's very welcoming, and it does feel like a new card shop and not like an old, dusty, musty,
And you were in there.
unwelcoming spot. Yeah, and to Mark's credit, he spent 4 hours and 76 minutes dealing with a guy who ended up spending like $3, where I would have been like 14 minutes in, like, okay, this guy's not buying anything. Like, he was trying to eat his Uber Eats. He was hungry, overworked, hadn't even woke up yet, and this guy was killing him.
Right.
And it was like the energy that was in there was a very welcoming environment. And even though you said 650 square feet, it does feel much bigger. And I don't know if that's lighting or the way it's just set up, but you could definitely get a good group of people in there and not be on top of one another.
So you're talking about your bins and your showcases and like your 10-cent dollar, and you said you're known for your $2 to $10. Where did you get your inventory? Was that just what you had, or did you go out and purchase more to start up the shop so it didn't look empty? We're going to start with that, and then we'll move to wax because everybody wants to know about wax. So let's start with your card and single inventory, and then we'll move on from there.
I just wish I had some pictures because you would not believe it. Like, it's just, so I remember spending about 40 straight nights up here in my little loft area. I mean, till 2, 3 in the morning some nights, pricing cards and just being meticulous about getting my quarter bins ready. And we're talking about like an 800 count for quarter, dollar, one double row, 2 to 10. We're not talking about a lot of cards. I had a lot of cards. I did a lot of breaks. I ripped a lot of wax, but like, we're not talking about 50 different brands. It's like, I had a lot of Prism. So I had some specific things that some people would be happy with. And then a lot of people like no vintage, none of that. So a lot of it was my inventory. But then as soon as it was like sign the lease, that's when you go out and you buy more. I remember 4 straight Fridays because I had no job. I went and hunted retail. I was like, let's go. I went 50 minutes west and just hit every Walmart, Target, probably 30 every Friday. It's like, I need more product. I need to be ready. I had a U-line order for my racking for my wall, and I was like, I have to fill these hooks. I got to fill my shelves. The inventory, funny enough, even though it like was sparse when I think about it now, because I've like got like 30 bins, I was like, this will do. That'll be fine. I'm more worried about the wax. I'm worried about like boxes and like, that was smart of me because the singles come when you open the shop. Boy, everyone wants to sell you the collections and stuff, so those will come. But yeah, I apologize to anyone who came the first few weeks. It was pretty. You guys were troopers and just hung in with me because it wasn't great. That's for sure.
So when you're talking about when you first opened and it was sparse, and what are some things like prior to opening that like you didn't like that were like hiccups, or like where you thought that it was going to be one way and then it totally like went off kilter that you didn't even plan for, and all of a sudden it just is like happening and you're like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, I think right away with like hobby boxes, because you're like, what I didn't want to happen was, because I never done this, of course, so I'm like, I don't want to buy boxes and have them be late or something. So I started to acquire these things the month prior. And I finally, opening day, I was like, oh my God, all my stuff. I'm underwater. I'm like, all my hobby products, like, because I'm buying it already on a thin margin. So you're like,
right.
Oh my gosh. So funny enough, the first hobby box I sold was on eBay. It was a WNBA Prism hobby box, actually. And I got that. I thought it a good deal at the time. It was $365, and I think her name's Ionesco. I probably mispronounced that, but she's a baller, and
Yeah.
those boxes were hot. So I could sell them at $450. So I made the flip, and I was like, all right, there we go. Made a little money, and
Got this figured out.
It's done. I got it in the bag. But yeah, that was a challenge. Just buying too much, I think, too soon, because I was worried about not having it. In the reality, I could have called 3-4 days, got most of that ordered the week of, and not had to have sold those initial hobby boxes at such a high price. But again, living and learning. So beyond that, that's the one that sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Just being a little too scared about the hobby and buying too much too early. Beyond that, it was just the whole, like, am I gonna be able to pay rent? And then you just start it and and take it from there. But no other hiccups. If one comes to mind, I'll let you know. But that's all I can think of right now.
But what are some of the struggles you're having now, or like being a new card shop? Like, so you got through opening, and if you want, talk a little bit, because like I know a lot of people are like, how much money do you need to start? And I feel like that's like such a subjective question, because I feel like it depends on your location. Obviously, you're in Chicagoland, so rent is higher. Everything, like the cost of living is higher, taxes are higher there. So I feel like it would be different, but like. I feel like in any business, if you're opening a business, you should like do your due diligence in advance and maybe like do some research on what your area is going to be like and whether you're going to purchase or rent. And there's a lot that goes in owning any business, let alone a card shop where you have to sell stuff. So I feel like that's kind of a hard question, and sort of personal finances, or like, so I'm just gonna, I just wanted to, like, because it's like that's been asked like a couple of times in there, so I just wanted to touch on the fact that like
Absolutely.
business, yeah. So like I feel like that's something that like it's pretty subjective to where you're at. So
100%.
It's like how much money do I bring to the National?
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you trying to buy? 10,000, 5,000?
Right. I will say this, and take people can take it for what it is. Like, I definitely bootstrapped this thing. Like, our family, we bootstrapped it. There's no doubt about it. If you saw the books, you would be like, okay, all right, he's not kidding. I didn't have like $100,000 to start this thing. I know there are shops that have 100. I didn't have $50,000 to start this thing. So it's like, you just do with what you can. Don't be someone you're not. To your point about research, like, I know there was the 800-pound gorilla like a mile away from me. They own 3 brick and mortars. They're this well-run, oiled machine. And I used to shop there, right? So like, I know they're solid. I know they do a good job and have a great inventory. And I was like, okay, I can't compete with these guys. It's like, single A, high A farm team going in trying to beat a major league team. It just is not going to happen. So it's like, all right, well, what can I focus on and be good at? And so I just tried to really concentrate that money I did have, a little bit in savings, leverage a little bit, on the books, and you do what you got to do. But I was like, what can I do? Make it concentrated, make it impactful. And that's what I tried to do at the beginning. And like, but I want everyone to know this. Like, if you have that dream, like, you go for it. Like, because I have student loans. I've got, finances are not perfectly in order. And, I'm 33. We're still young and have plenty of time to do things in our life. But a lot of people, like, maybe have some roadblocks financially, and I get it. Like, I sincerely get it. And, but hey, don't let it stop you. If you really want to do it, find a way. Start small, start online, start any way you can. I actually thought starting online. I feel like that just wasn't working for me. I asked my wife, I did so many different side hustles and different things to try and figure this out. And it was like, inevitably, I think a part of why I think I like doing it and why it's working, why I'm connecting with people, is because it's in person, because it's that mano a mano. And that's something I think I'd be good at versus, trying to do something else. It probably would be a failure in my head. So, I'm
sure your sales background helps, because it can't hurt, right? To be a good salesman.
No.
This shit's inspirational. I want to go start business. It's like, you don't need money. But quit making excuses and go do the damn thing.
I'm super impressed.
I'll be the first to admit, I hate corporate sales and everything. It's so needed. I have so much respect for the profession, so much so that I knew I had to get out. And it was just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's just like you hate selling, but like when I'm there, it doesn't feel like I'm selling. You know, it feels like I'm bonding, helping people find what they want, creating friendships, and like that's not just blowing smoke. That's just the truth. So
Here's what you have that those other three don't have, I'm assuming, is when you go to a certain size, unless you're very mindful of what actually brings the people in, it's easy to not be a part of the day to day. I know that if I'm going to Mark's card shop, I'm dealing with Mark.
yep.
And there's only one Mark, and that Mark isn't at the other three brick and mortar. And I'm sure just by the comments that are popping up and just the feedback that you're getting as you continue to be there on a day-to-day basis, you're just going to become that much more appealing. And soon you're going to have Mark's Detroit, and you're going to be gallivanting all across the continental United States.
Go.
Let's
There you
go.
go.
So
Yeah,
that,
I'm in on that, man. Look, we can expand, you know, but I think you're right. Focusing on what I can differentiate with, and trading is a big one. You know, being willing to buy collections. Like these are just some things that some other places aren't really doing right now. They're not focused on it, so that's where I'm going to focus, and it's been good. So
well, and just being a human being. You're approachable. And I've seen it a few times in the comments. Or people, like, they walk in if the vibe sucks. Or we'll go to spots where, like, the guy running the shop won't give Courtney the time of day. And it's like, dude,
or they'll say something super, super sexist, like, oh, you brought the little lady, or like I'll walk in by myself and they'll be like, oh, your husband sent you it? I'm like, no, jerk. I'm here to shop for myself because I like cards. So like when you have someone who's in the community, who's mindful, who knows the people that are coming in and out, that I think that makes a difference. And when we're talking about expanding and growing and getting yourself out there, and with the limited budget that you've kind of been talking about, bootstrapping yourself up, how do you advertise? How do you market yourself in a fiscally responsible way? But then is it like return on investment when you're advertising? How do you allocate that? And then like, is it more trying to get people to know you exist, or is it trying to get like money in when you are doing your advertising?
yeah, I dabbled a little bit with like a little bit of Facebook ads, like literally like $50 with Facebook, and then a little bit of Google ads. I saw the Google ads seem to be working more. And even though a lot of the calls I was getting, and I'm total transparency, $50 a month. And I feel like I'm promoted ad, I pop up. I feel like that's just because not a lot of other people are doing it. Shouldn't be giving away those trade secrets or anything, but like it is what it is. And I'm focused on, excuse me, a little Mountain Dew. I'm focused on bringing people in word of mouth, creating a great user experience. So people are coming in. There's my corporate sales background, user experience. Anyway, and just being someone where people want to tell their friend about the place. Hey, this is a good spot. He's a good guy. So the word of mouth's been massive. And then obviously trying to just generate some organic traffic on social, doing videos, showing people having fun. Like I think that plays real well. And, but really not trying to put a ton of money into the paid advertising just because I'd rather it go towards product. And, it's something that I'm mindful of, but I'm only spending like $50 a month with the ads right now. And I feel like they've been good. And a lot of people surprisingly are calling me about buying, and that almost turns sometimes into a sell relationship. It's like, hey, like, yeah, I'll come look at your cards. And then they see, oh, it's a cool shop. Like, I'm going to buy this now. And then maybe that becomes a regular shop. So I don't mind the channels being open either way. I just keep the ads on. You call me to buy or sell, whatever. We're going to talk and we're going to meet each other, and magic will happen.
That's awesome. So another expense that I think people don't think about is insurance. And with all this, like we're all on Instagram and Facebook, and you see the rash of like card shops being robbed, and like big name card shops too, like the Santiago, like Kentucky card show, and all that. Like it's crazy. So you said that you were like right next to the police station, so that's probably super prime real estate, a lot safer. People are not going to risk that. What other things? You have cameras, like, you're doing anything at this point, or is it still? Yeah.
Oh, totally. There's a couple things that come to mind because, the proximity to the police station is just perfect. It's like I see them drive by every day, happy to wave and smile and like, hey, I get that being close to a police station in itself is a deterrent. And it is scary. I see all these shops dealing with theft issues, and I'm like, this is nuts. Like, this is a true target for people, like a jewelry store would be. So, that was a huge, right away. I'm like, I have to get this settled. So I got the alarm company, which funny enough led me to a different relationship. The alarm guy's like, hey, so you're running a card shop, as he's installing my alarm. And he's like, my buddy does sports art. I'm like, what? Really? And I cold call his buddy, like sales style. And, it's Matt Rektorsky, whose Instagram handles Art by MR, and he's just amazing artist who has worked with a ton of people in the community on different pieces, and just has some incredible one-of-a-kind sports art. And then next thing you know, I have some paintings up on my wall, and that's the cool aesthetic that I never could have dreamed of. So I kind of fell backwards into that one, but yeah, just like get the alarm set up. Get close to a police station. Make sure I'm close to myself, which I'm a 3-minute drive. So, you do what you can, but there's certain things out of my control. I do worry about it every night when I hit that alarm. It's like, fingers crossed. I hope no one does anything, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, glass can break and things can happen. But you do what you can, and so far so good. But I think ultimately, like, you're in such a weird spot, like a downtown suburb. Like, I don't want to like tempt anyone, but it's just like it's challenging. I'm sure it's not like something right by a highway, and it's like there's a little bit of.
Well, they're not getting away that quickly, and you have the police and everything, so you're in like a prime location. Listen, I worked in like a very tiny town, and in a hair salon, and we got robbed. So like, people don't rob anything, and it was like, that was just something people kept asking over and over, like.
Oh yeah, it's huge right now, right? Like, and one thing actually I did deal with was theft. I dealt with some theft, and had to put out like a video, just kind of being like, man, I really wish people weren't doing this, because I used to have my retail wall actually accessible by everyone, which is unique. Like, hey, go up, grab a blaster, grab a fat pack off the wall. Look at the mega box. Like, half my inventory is going to be accessible to you. You're going to be able to grab it. And, we dealt with a few, sticky bandits, and basically it turned into a, let's put a case in front of it, and let's move the rack back a little bit and adjust. And that's just the learning experience. That's the every day I'm learning new things and trying to be, the best shop owner I can be. Want to provide the great experience. I don't want people to feel like they're, have the smile, you're on camera right in front of them while they're browsing the dollar bin. But, I've got some cameras, and I've got some things I've had to do to kind of change the layout just to make it work. And, it is what it is. I don't wish, any of the things I've heard about with these hobby shops, I don't wish that upon any of these owners. I can't imagine like losing inventory and just having to deal with that, and hoping insurance takes care of you. And to answer your question about insurance, I'm sure there's a wide array of, pricing on stuff, because I'm sure many people are insuring a lot more inventory than I am, but I still had to get, a quote for a job, and it was like, okay, that's what I'll have to pay every month, to make sure my stuff's protected. But it's not, it's, if someone saw it, they'd think it's pretty reasonable. It's not anything where you're breaking the bank paying $500 or something a month to keep yourself insured just because it's a hobby shop. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So the two most asked questions that we got, the number one was, is it profitable to own a card shop? That was the number one question.
Good question. Yeah, it's ask my accountant that one, right? Like, but that's the thing. I'm not good with running the numbers and doing the books. I mean, obviously, you got to know your numbers within the business, but in terms of filing for taxes and like looking for not loopholes, but ways to tax advantages. And I'm glad that was money well spent again, dude. Any aspiring business owner, like, focus on what you're good at and leave the rest up to the professionals. And so, but no, I've had some good calls the last couple months. I talked to my accountant once a month at minimum, and then it's been good. He's like, yeah, you're really growing your inventory, and we're gonna have to start putting a little aside for maybe some taxes next year. So that's always good, to think, hey, I could possibly be profitable in my first year, but I'm only halfway there, and there's a lot of work to be done, to, again, really make this, like I said, where I want it to be, where I want to go home. And
how do you track your sales?
Hold on real quick. To me, in my opinion, because I kind of very similar, like in my industry, private equity and venture capitalists got in big time. And on the same thing, on a Friday, I said, nope, I've had enough. Didn't have a backup plan. I knew I would land on my feet, but same thing. On come Monday, I'm like, free agent. Let's go get it. Money, in my opinion, is not everything. Money can always be made.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine, even though with the long hours and some of the challenges you're facing, by the smile that you have on your face and in your personality and dealing with you, that there's a level of happiness. I'm sure you're a little bit a happier person at home. So, like, not just money, I would say, like, overall, I'm sure you're in a better spot. It's much better to wake up and, oh man, I have to talk about sports cards all day for 18 hours as opposed to go to a job that you're miserable for 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. Money isn't everything, and
No.
it's nice. It's definitely nice to be profitable. I think that's
Well,
the
yeah,
goal.
sure. I mean, definitely, you gotta pay
For
the
sure.
bills. But I mean, like, in addition to that, quality of life means something.
I have to say, when
Yeah.
Jeremy quit his job, like, he's a much nicer, happier person, like a better husband and father. So I imagine your wife probably feels the same. Like, oh my gosh, if you were that miserable that you just quit your job, I feel like that alone is like more than financially gratifying, because like you're a better person when you're not miserable, and if you're doing what you love, you're not miserable. So
Absolutely. Like I used to be like fearful of talking about how I don't like being in sales and stuff. That's because I was still in sales, and I'm like, I can't post this on LinkedIn. I can't say it on social media. Like I have a boss. And I get that. That's just the reality. I mean, I did it 11 straight years. That's the reality in life. You have to provide, and but yeah, I mean, it is night and day. I mean, I want to speak to it. I want people to know, like, hey, like, it's okay if maybe it's not going your way right now, because there's always something around the corner. And that's what's I had to listen to a lot of that type of inspiring talk to get myself on that track. And now I want other people to go for it too, and whatever that go for it means, could mean something different to everyone. But yeah, home life is great. I mean, I used to, and this is something, again, I probably wouldn't have said 8 months ago. I used to get the Sunday scaries. I used to get anxiety sometimes. I got a presentation tomorrow, man. I hate this. Like, it's all buttoned up. I don't like it. And I tell Kaylin all the time, I'm like, I haven't had one night where I've thought to myself, Kaylin, like, I don't want to go there tomorrow. Like, it just hasn't happened.
It's
And
probably
knock
the
on wood.
opposite. It's probably hard to shut it off and be like I'm so into work right now. I gotta dial it back, and I gotta be, nobody wants to hear about maybe our goofy household, but like maybe like, hey, shut up with the card talk for a while.
I love
there's
your
even
guys'
days.
household.
There's even days where it's like, okay, enough cards for today. Let's go do something else. But like, we get off of these lives because we love doing them, and we're always so hyped. I'm like, it's late. I'm like, I can't even go to bed. I'm like, I just want to talk about for another hour what we just did. So
I know.
I get it.
I love your guys' household, by the way. You guys are amazing, and I love following along. And I'm so happy to have met you guys. Like, you guys, now we haven't met in person, you and I, Courtney, but I'm just saying.
But we will.
We will. Yeah. And
Let me before, because I think I assume I know what you're gonna say, but I would imagine that this just isn't Mark, right? I imagine there's a pretty damn strong woman behind you that was like, oh yeah, go ahead, quit your job. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Well,
Oh yeah,
Daddy,
we'll walk around
yeah.
these buildings and then trying to see your vision. And I know that, like, for what we do with our business, the amount of effort that, like, Courtney, that she takes on, that frees me up to do certain things and vice versa. And so I would imagine you're going to say that, like, your wife is a superstar.
She is. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, there's been multiple times this week she's blown me away with news that she's bringing home, from her work. And I'm just like, yeah, it just wouldn't be possible. I said this to her the other night. She knows it. I'm sure someone, in family spectating knows it. I mean, it's like, she is absolutely the rock of the family because she's an amazing mother and an amazing wife. And, of course, doesn't hurt.
Savvy touched on the mother piece too.
Oh, yeah. And it doesn't hurt that she brings home some of the cheddar. So, I mean, at the end of the day, now it's my turn to really to bring that as well. And I think it's important. Like, I want to keep this thing alive. I want to do this forever. I'm excited to see where this goes and where this grows. But at the same token, like, yeah, I don't want this to be like, I don't want to be a dead weight just because I'm chasing my dream. Like, I want to provide too, and in my own way. And but without her, yeah, like, she is the real MVP. Period. She is everything to the family. And Lucy, if she could talk, she's like 18 months, so she's not quite there. She can say stuff, but she, one of these days we'll get her on the live, and she'll say the same stuff. So,
That's
I
awesome.
bet she's gonna say she's pretty damn proud of you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I've already started her collection. We got Lucy's collection at the shop. Just saying, some people have donated a little pack here or there. I rip a couple when she comes, even though she just starts running away as soon as I start opening it. And I want her to have a little collection by the time she's 6, 7, 8. And she'll be like, so this is what you've been doing when I've been growing up, Dad? Okay, yeah, I see you.
That's exciting. It's fun. It's fun. The kids with the cards is like, that's where it's at. We have such a good time with our kids with the cards. It's so fun. It's so much fun.
It's everything. It's everything.
It is.
Oh.
It's like that. Like without kids into it, like there's no future in the hobby, and then all of our cards are worthless because nobody cares about them. Kids aren't growing up in.
Right.
So
they bring this
it's
energy. Yeah,
it's
they bring this
important.
undeniable.
That's the best thing, is the next generation.
So I rudely cut Courtney off, but I think she was getting ready to ask.
Yes.
Like, you're a card shop owner. You're up and going. You're getting artwork up. You're constantly tinkering with the way things flow. Talk about like your systems and processes for like cards coming in, how you track that, and then they go out. And then something that we fundamentally disagree a little bit on is micro versus macro, like on individual cards or versus whole. Like when you're tracking the finances.
I get attached to the cards, and he's like, no, if we can flip this into a bigger, and then move up to this. And I'm like, but I love this card and I don't want to trade it.
And Courtney's also, I'm into this card for $2. I will not let it go for a penny less than $2. I'm like, Court, it's $1.50. Take the 50-cent loss.
That's inaccurate. I'm just more like, I love this card. I don't care if it's $2. I don't want to sell it for $150. It's hard. I struggle. That's the collector in me, not the business person, because you get attached. Like, we traded you a card in our trade that I was very sad to trade. Like, I was like,
which
if
one?
you must.
Which one? I'm curious now.
The Jordan rookie.
The Jordan.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it was a tall glass of water after that, but
I didn't want to. I'm like, okay.
You knew I wanted that. As soon as I saw the picture, I'm like, let's go. I want that.
I know. I told him, I'm like, because he was like, we need to get there. And I'm like, give him the damn Jordan.
Thank you. That's my first one of those, so I appreciate it.
It was my first one too. So my first one to you. So that makes me feel better.
I went Mark on her though. I said, come on. Is this going to be your last one, or are you going to go bigger and better? And she's like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I got some 3. You can do better than that. I just got my little 3. It's nothing,
Yeah, but I know there was a lot in there, but if you could kind of talk about just the way you let it come in, you track it, and how you process, and I think that'd be vital, because there's a lot of people who are taking on a lot of cards, and then they're like, oh, I have a lot of cards. I don't know what to do.
Springs, you'll see why. It was worth it. So just hold tight.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be overwhelming. I mean, like, you have so many cards, and so we do a monthly inventory. We gotta see what we got. And like, I use a point of sale system dashboard called Lightspeed. So it's like kind of like Shopify, but they also allow you to, you can build your e-commerce site on their platform, and then the inventory will speak on the retail end to the e-commerce end. So I got the omni-channel going, where I take a select mega box off the, someone buys one tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the store. It's not going to be available now if I only had one on the website. So that helps me kind of manage things. I will say though, like, we all have a plan until we get punched in the face. And like, I thought like, oh, I have this all figured out. I'll have the inventory on the website, and I can't tell you how many items I've just taken off the website because it just becomes such a pain tracking it. And let's be real. What was that?
We struggle with that. We do online almost everything, but then we do shows and we sell on Instagram. And so as fast as I was getting it up on the website, we would sell it somewhere, and then I'd have to like make sure I took it off so it didn't sell on the website.
Oh shit, is that still on eBay?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Or on eBay, which is another one. So just keeping everything separate, making sure I take care of everyone. I mean, I just had I don't get a ton of e-commerce orders, right? I just had like a $400 order the other day. And that's not a flex. I'm just saying, like, literally, I didn't have half the stuff. And I'm like, I'm not going to cancel it. I'm finding the stuff. So I made a point to go source it quick, reach out to the customer, let them know it'll be there, by next week. Is that okay? We're good. So, but yeah, it can be very challenging managing all that. And especially because I'm just bootstrapping it. I'm doing all the inventory management myself, you know, it can be daunting, but making sure I do that at inventory count every month, get an idea of where I'm at. So it's not just willy nilly. It's not just, hey, I buying collections left and right, but I have no idea what they're worth. And as you guys know, like the market goes up and down and all around. So one day your inventory could be worth X, and then the next month it's worth, you know, Y. But still, you just gotta, you know, give your best, you know, effort to track this stuff. And like pretty much everything that I have on my store is in my inventory system in some way or another. Now, you know, the way, and this is a big question I had actually for Lightspeed in my, you know, onboarding was like, how do I track this? Do you have any other hobby shops? Like, what do you do? Like a 10-cent card, do I really need to upload that to the site? Now I think about it, I'm like, that's nuts. I don't know what I was thinking even asking that, because that is impossible. Like, it's not happening. But you can have a 10-cent hot button and a 25-cent, $1, and just track it that way as an inventory item in your system versus, you know, tens of thousands of single different assets in there. And so there's a lot of trial and error and just figuring it out, you know.
I love the idea of the hot button for a while because we were processing every single card that came through. And when you were buying bigger lot with bigger cards, you're like, oh, this isn't bad. But then when you get to that shoebox that's just nothing but like quarter and dime cards, you're like, what the hell are we doing?
I was like,
Yeah.
and I think like Burbank Sports Cards talking about how they have every single card in their whole store just inventoried. I'm like, how? Well, they have a team of people doing it. Like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
it's just us. We're just, you know, like we have 4 kids, and we both have like other things that we do outside of cards. So like, I would die. I think it might kill me.
And again, not focusing on necessarily maybe what I should be focusing on if I'm sitting there, you know. It's enough for me to sort 10-cent cards by team, you know, and that was a commitment I made when I started it, and I'm still keeping that up. And like eventually, hopefully here, you know, Q1 of 22, you know, I get my first employee, you know, and it's been good kind of rubbing elbows. A lot of people have shown, you know, some interest in possibly doing that, you know, getting to know people better who might be a good fit to help me out and join the team next year. And like that, again, talk about mind blowing is like, again, I just wanted to pay rent when I started this thing. I was like, let me just pay rent and just keep doing it. And now it's, you know, 7 months in. Maybe we're going to hire our first employee in January. So it's exciting, you know, but I can't get bogged down with the stuff, you know, that just is not good for me, like inventorying 10-cent cards. That's for sure.
Do you have a rule of thumb or anything that you go by where you're mindful that, hey, I need to make sure I keep some capital set aside for the inevitable, like, can't pass collection that walks in my door for the person that's trying to dump it? And then is there certain cards that you look at over other cards, knowing that, like, obviously a lot of the cards you're taking from us, and my thought was, like, if I was a shop owner, what would I want? Well, Chicago cards don't do well in Detroit. However, Chicago cards are going to do you a hell of a lot better than me. So can you talk about that a little bit? Like, just making sure, because I always hear that people like overextend themselves and, you know, they're card rich, but they're cash poor. And then something walks by where it's like, oh my God, I can't.
Looks like you have people volunteering to work for you in the comments here. So you should have
That's
a hiring.
But yeah, you nailed it. I mean, you got to carry that balance, because if you just have a ton of inventory and then, you know, a great opportunity passes you by and you can't, you know, snipe a good deal, it's a problem, you know, because honestly, like in terms of profitability, that is what really carries the torch, you know, buying collections, working in the singles game. The boxes are almost like a loss leader in themselves. They're awesome. They're there, but where I stand right now, they're thin margins for me. So it's like, I want to have them as a collector. I like going into shops, seeing Prism, Optic, Select, you know, hobby options for each sport. I like seeing some of the weird stuff too. Let me get a little Star Wars, UFC, little, you know, like that's all day, which I don't think UFC is weird. I'm actually becoming a huge UFC fan since I started the shop. Just getting into the cards a little too hard. But, you know, just finding a way to, you know, carry that balance is tough, because, yeah, like, sometimes I'm like, I see a deal and I'm like, I can't pass this one, you know, but then a couple days later, I'm like, I'm kind of glad I didn't spend all that money on that. Whereas other times I was able to secure a deal and I'm like, thank God I had enough money to, you know, to buy that, because it is it can be truly changing, game changing if you get a big lot. Like one of my best stories is I went to the National, just cards clutched in hand. I was like, I'm making a deal. And I went to Mealy Pops, and I was like, stood in line. He was the nicest guy. Ended up giving people cards while they were waiting in line to trade with them. And honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, my heart was beating. I was sweating. I'm like, I've watched this guy on vlogs and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's cool, nice guy. Like, couldn't be nicer. But still, you're kind of waiting in anticipation to go up there, and it's like, hope he likes my stuff, because I'm going for that Trout rookie auto he's got. It was like a second year. It was like 2012 Bowman Sterling graded 9 out of 50 Trout auto, and it was like, so it wasn't like holy grail Trout autos, but for me it was like my holy grail. And I ended up making a deal for the trade. And he was very fair with me, and it was an amazing experience to do that with him. But I ended up bringing that card back. Not within a few weeks, someone showed some major interest in it, and they became kind of a friend of the shop. And I started to consign some of their collection because they had a lot of extra cards that didn't really matter to them, and they had their big PC, but everything else was extra. I'm like, how much extra we got? You brought me a couple boxes, but like, what do you have that I'm not seeing? One day he rolls up with 10 boxes, and he's like, I want the Trout, and I'll trade you this. And I'm just like, literally blind. I'm like, let's do it, because I'd already had an idea of what I was consigning, and I'd already sold a lot of his stuff. So I owed the man money already, and it was kind of like, let's do it. Let's do the Trout trade. Traded the Trout, which again, near and dear to me, hard to get rid of, very emotionally attached to that card in a short amount of time. And it's like, but that was the best move I've done. Like, it was just a smart move. And the guy comes in all the time. He's one of my favorites of the shop, and he loves that he was able to help in that way. But he got what he wanted too. He's like, oh, I'm gonna crack this thing and regrade it. Like, this is a 9.5, man. Like, this is a great deal for both of us. And I'm like,
yeah,
good.
the best kind of deal is where people walk away and both sides are happy. So we've been talking for a long time, and the number one thing everyone wants to know about that I definitely don't want to like pass up on. So if you've been on here the whole time waiting for this, is that everyone wants to know how you get an allocation, how allocation works. Where did you even start to try and get one? I know 90% of the jump to get it is just having the shop in the first place. But what beyond that do you have to do? So talk a little bit about that. How do you get better wax? I know everybody kind of has like a little idea of how it works.
Sure.
And also, like we talked on our last one with Miss Squirts about the difference between an allocation and wholesale, because just because you have an allocation does not mean you're not paying, that you're paying wholesale for it. And people I think have that idea, but that's not the case. So
yeah, right. Like, everyone thinks you get the brick and mortar. Like, oh man, like, where do I send the $200 Prism hobby boxes? Like, it's like, nope, it's not how it goes. There's guys with way bigger checkbooks than me or the next person that are trying to do the same thing that I'm doing, but they have the bigger checkbook. So it's like, definitely a little eye-opening, but I also feel like I was well-researched going into this. Obviously, I've been back in for a few years. You're on Twitter hobby for enough time. You learn basically everything. But I probably spent 40 hours listening to this awesome podcast called The Card Shop. Highly recommended. Mike Stadium Sports Cards out in Colorado. He's one of the hosts. And then also, again, just consuming other content, how to start a card shop, Card Collector 2. Just figuring out, like, all right, do I apply to a bunch of distributors, or do I apply to just one? Do I not do that? Do I try and fight until I hit 6 months and then go direct? Like, all these questions, I had no clue what I was doing, really. And now I look back, my strategy was, okay, I don't have a big checkbook, so why don't I focus on one distributor? So I applied for distribution. Initially was going to be 2, but the second one was like, you need to send pictures of your hobby shop completed. I'm like, I sent them like a lease and an empty, a photo of an empty room. Like, they're like, no, call us later. And I was like, okay, never mind. The other guys were,
they didn't see the vision.
They couldn't see
They didn't see it. I was like shocked. But
they're stupid. They're lost.
Yeah, they're not going to get all my money now. No, but I was like, all right, these guys are cool. This one distributor took me on, and I applied. And some people said, you won't even get your application read because everyone's applying every day. And it's so hard to do it. And you're fighting against so many other people. But they accepted me. So I was like, awesome. So I have an account. You have your initial call, with the person. And every distributor is going to be different. And I won't speak to specifics, but basically, you know, at the end of the day, you need to spend money. And as you spend money, you're not going to be able to spend money on the initial release stuff. You're not going to get the allocation, as they call it. You're not going to get Flux, what just came out. You're not going to get a case of that because you want to. You're not going to get any of it to start. In fact, it takes about 6 months of spending before they even, you know, before you're even kind of in the hamster wheel with them. So he told me that. So he kind of set the expectation. You're start spending. Here's the list. Get excited about 2013, 2014 football. Get excited about, I think I had 2017, 18 megas, which I thought were the coolest thing, but I paid like $330 a pop for them. And I'm like, geez, what am I doing? Again, just a lot of overpriced wax. And then, you just grind and you spend money, and his advice, which I would give to anyone, would be, buy what you can sell. And even if you don't make a big healthy margin, which you won't, if you just run the numbers real quick, you still work through the inventory, become a partner. And that's what I did. And while I have just a little slice compared to many of these other guys, I just, put all my eggs in one basket. And again, that's against the advice that I was told from some people, which is get multiple distributors. And maybe my strategy will change. But for now, it's focusing on one relationship, building some other relationships with other people that have product, whether it be dealers or other people that have product, so that I have different outlets. But ultimately, I want to put my money towards a distributor because eventually it goes towards something. And as you spend on a specific brand or sport, you'll grow your spend, and therefore you'll start to get allocations. And I was super stoked to start seeing a little piece, come through slightly before 6 months. And it's cool. It's not everything, but even to just get a box of something. And one of my good customers came in today, and he's all about Flux. And this guy, he's been talking about Flux last month. So, I give the best deal I could. I was like, what's DA doing? He's like, $350. I'm like, cool. He's like, but Panini's at $299, man. I'm like, let's go. We're going to undercut that. And I don't even care. I'm chopping into my one nice box of margin, but it's for the good of the relationship. It's for the good of the hobby. So I have mixed feelings about how things are and where they're going. And I'm not exactly sure how all this will shake out with Fanatics coming into the fold. But I will say it out loud. I have a problem, with I go to Cracker Barrel, get an omelet and a blaster, and I'm a community shop, right? I should be able to get product easier. I feel I'm ushering in the next generation. We're trying to shape minds of the hobby, trying to get people to love this hobby like we do. And I see wax everywhere. I'm like, who do I not know? But I get large chains have buying power that I don't have, so I understand it.
Here's the unfortunate thing. And I have the utmost respect for what you do, because we do the same thing. We give thousands of dollars worth of stuff away. And it's not just also money. It's our time. It's the energy. It's the effort. Mm-hmm. These other places who are getting this wax, who aren't putting forth that effort, aren't buying donuts in the morning for their shop. They're not giving away free kids packs. They're not hanging out, giving these kids a spot to come in. You're probably
They're not
losing.
Building up other, people in the hobby.
I lose on every deal I make with a kid. Like when a kid walks up and he wants to make a deal, I'm like, well, there goes the $20 I just made. I'm gonna lose it because I'm gonna take on this kid. It's like Michael Porter Jr. PSA 7 because he wants to but I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help grow them. Right. And I see you doing that with your shop every day, so I can understand why you would be incredibly frustrated that effing Cracker Barrel is getting waxed when they slang cheddar biscuits, whatever the hell they do at that terrible restaurant.
I've worked in retail. I've owned businesses where you have to buy product to resell, for my entire career. And only in this industry do you have to fight to get what you sell in your store if you're willing to purchase it. That is one thing that I hope with Card Fanatics coming in, I hope that gets fixed, because it should be hobby shops, it should be hobby people, it shouldn't be, unfortunately, and this is going to be unpopular, it shouldn't be Target, it shouldn't be Walmart, it shouldn't be Cracker Barrel, it shouldn't be Dollar Store, it shouldn't be Walgreens. It should be hobby people selling hobby products to other hobby people, be it a brick and mortar shop, be it someone who has an online store, but someone who is specifically in that industry. And I hope to see that shift, because it is sad when you see someone who's working as hard as you who can't get, card boxes that they want because they have to buy a bunch of like 2013 football that they don't want. And that's, I feel like that's something that's fundamentally broken in our hobby, in our industry, whatever you want to call it. That's a very good point that you make, and I agree 1,000% with you on that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's crazy. I'd rather get a case of the new plasters at 20 a pop and have MAP pricing and have to sell for 30. I'm fine with that. Let's go. I want that release day product. Tell me exactly where I need to sell it. I'll just make that margin. Boom, we're good to go. Instead of getting it in at 25 or 30 and having to sell it for 35 and 40. Like it
harms everybody.
It's tough. Yeah, it's like, let's do it. We can figure this out. I hope we see some changes. Whoever's running the show, just understand that we're all whether you're online or in store, we're dealing with the same things. And it's like, it's just wild out there. I'm not gonna, it's tough with product. That's my biggest challenge. Like that is absolutely the biggest challenge, getting the cost down on some of my products so that it's not as big of a hit when someone doesn't get the box they want and they don't get the LaMelo or the Ant-Man. Like, you don't need to get those guys. You shouldn't have to get those guys to make your value.
You shouldn't have to get a player you don't want in order to make valid, your box that you purchase valid. Like
exactly.
If you want Pat Williams, you shouldn't have to like hope that you pull an Ant so that you can sell that to cover the cost of your PC.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So
speaking of Pat Williams, there's somebody I know that's got an NT RPA sitting in a showcase.
I mean, we're talking, just give me a couple months. I've been really hurting on this one. Talk about getting too emotional with cards. Like, I got this Pat Williams. I'm like, Bulls are going to go off this year. Williams, Kawhi Leonard Light is ready to roll. And, then he gets hurt. And it's just like, it's the only card I think in the shop I don't have a price tag on. Because, I mean, I had to tell the story twice today. It's like the card needs further context. I'm not going to overprice it, but I'm not going to undersell it. I'm hanging on to my boy P. Will. And thank you again for that Origins RPA. You're shooting my way in that trade.
Well, so we're sitting on a lot of we got like the gold prism of we've got green ice auto. I mean, we're sitting on a ton. So when I saw your RPA, I was like, ooh. I'm bullish on him long term. So I'm like, man, he's hurt. Yeah, time to capitalize. But you are savvy.
Bring that gold. Bring that gold Saturday. That's all I got to say. We'll make another trade. Come on.
Absolutely not.
Don't even. That's one of those that are like, no. So I think it's that time where.
Oh no.
We give something away.
You're ending it too soon. No, I'm having so much fun.
No,
guys.
we always. Yeah, this has been so much fun. So what are we giving away tonight?
Yeah, so we're gonna front. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna let you on a piece of paper write any letter of the alphabet.
Okay.
And then we're gonna let everybody guess, and whoever guesses it first, when I see you on Saturday, because we're gonna finish a deal on Saturday, I'm gonna hand you $50, and that's gonna be a credit to anybody. I would encourage them to go there in person if they can, but if not, I'd like them to, hopefully spend more than $50 and throw some business your way.
So it's like basically we're gonna do a $50 gift certificate to Mark's Card Shop.
But I'm not filling out. I'm not giving any paper. I'm not making fancy cardboard. I'm giving Mark $50 and saying like, okay, here you go.
This person
and he trusts me to give it to someone. I don't understand it, but let's go. I'm in. All right, I got my letter.
All right, so
it's what you see. It's what you see. I don't want people bitching at me because.
Yeah. So whatever. So A through Z, guys. Whichever Mark.
All right, I got it.
Okay. Whatever Mark sees.
No, I'm not showing it. I'm looking.
I was like, don't show it.
No.
Guess the letter A through Z and whatever Mark picked and whatever he sees first.
Cue the best letter. Okay.
Nothing would be better than his wife guess the numbers. Like, just give me the $50.
Yeah, right. Not yet. Nope.
I
got an idea.
I have two letters that I think it's gonna be.
Someone should know here what's near and dear to my heart.
Right?
Nice. Hey, Greg, that's a good guess. Let me say that's a good guess, Greg. Not yet. How many guesses do you get?
They can keep guessing. Did someone guess it?
L.
Who guessed it?
Did someone guess it?
Yep, I think we got Queen Sarah Quinn, but
Okay.
I think we should go. I think JWS was second because all full disclosure, Queen Sarah Quinn's my mom, so she's not winning. That's not happening. That's not happening. So I think I saw JWS at number 2.
JWS. All right,
Yeah,
JWS.
I think he said L. I don't know if I can scroll and see. But yeah, he was second to say. I think JWS should get it because he was second to say L.
JWS. Slide into the
DMs.
DMs.
I will say one thing, Mark, in all seriousness, listening to your story, and people would look at your story from 30,000 feet and just be like, red flag, red flag, red flag of reasons why something can't be done. I think it's incredible. Somebody that I don't know how I'm going to get there. I just know that I want to get there, and I'm going to figure it out as I go.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a testament to you and your family and just, persevering. And then and this happens a lot in this hobby, and this is something I'm actually passionate about, is there's like this like mentality of like, oh, I heard it here, so therefore it's got to be true or it can't be done. Like they told you don't go for distribution. You did it and you got approved. Mm-hmm. And so I think learning to navigate these waters is awesome. But, you sharing this information with the people like truly makes you the rock star, because there could be the next card collector too, or coffee breakers, whoever listening to this, that's going to draw inspiration from your story. So, truly grateful you carving out some time to, hang with us.
Definitely. We greatly appreciate anyone that's willing to come on here and kind of tell their story and talk about what they've done and what they've accomplished in the hobby, because a lot of times it's a lot of negativity. And everybody's like, oh, this, the card market, this, and, this grading company and that thing, and this, these people, and this, and eBay or Feebay or whatever. So it's really nice to just have this kind of like uplifting sort of atmosphere and conversation with somebody who's just like so happy to be part of the hobby like we are. So we really appreciate that and genuinely think that you're doing something awesome and incredible. And we're excited to see where it goes and how you grow.
Well, you guys are amazing. Thank you guys for, just letting me come on here, because, I mean, this is awesome. You guys have an awesome brand you're building, and this will be the first of many between us. I'm sure of it. Live collaborations, live, go live, whatever. I meant live in-person collaborations.
Yeah.
Live collaborations, whatever. I'm always game to work and do whatever with you guys. You guys are awesome. I can't wait to meet you in person, Courtney, and have you meet my wife, and have all of us just meet each other, because I love you guys as friends.
Girls that are around your daughter's age too, and they could all play.
Boom. There we go. Now you guys got to just move back to Chicago. All right. Enough of this Detroit stuff. Get back home. All right. Let's go.
Let's go.
I know what your taxes are like in Illinois. I'm good.
Oh yeah. They're not good. We live in a house from 1886. It was made in 1886, which not a lot of people believe. But the taxes are good. The taxes are friendly when the house is that old, and not up to code in many areas. So, so we're making do.
In your loft, it's like jankily hanging off the side of your house. Yeah. You're just like, don't walk too hard.
He's
actually
real,
sitting sideways. They got the camera kicked.
That's why.
Oh yeah. I mean, I legit am like walking up the stairs is a workout. You're climbing a mountain, and I'm like, that's not. This is not. There's something wrong here. But we're not going to say anything, because then we're gonna have to fix it. So
yeah. Unless you're doing something that you're fine, you're grandfathered. It's good. It's goal. Your goal.
That's what I figured. So
we just like when we get bills in the mail, we just hide it somewhere, and out of sight, out of mind. Don't worry about it.
I don't have to see it. It doesn't exist.
Oh yeah, that's how I feel about all the cards I'm underwater on. So I just besides the Pat Will, I just put them in the back, and when I hear better news on TV, I take them out again. Just out of sight, out of mind.
That's smart. I've been to places where they have cards that they're super underwater on, and they're like, no, I'm holding firm with this $1,000 card that's only worth $100.
Hey man,
real quick, it's just hilarious. I just got a notification from my alarm. It's like the AC power just went out. I'm like, well, great. Someone took me up on my challenge. That's awesome. Someone's going for it tonight. That was a little scary. It said it just was restored, so we're good. That was a little weird, a little untimely. I didn't mean to interrupt, my friend.
No, we appreciate this. This will be uploaded to YouTube probably, by the end of the weekend at the latest. So if anybody wants to share it, I'll try to edit so you don't have to listen to me and Courtney babble, and it could just be the greatness of Mark. But we sincerely appreciate it. And, if there's anything that, our community, your community, we can do to support you, I think anybody that's listened this far wants you to be successful. So if that means, buying some boxes, whether they're gifts for kids or stuff that we'll use to donate, we will gladly support any way possible. And that's not lip action. We actually take serious action. So,
Likewise, and if anyone wants to donate boxes, cards, give away to kids, that's kind of a new trend I've been seeing at the shop, anonymously or with a shout out, whatever. I love to give stuff away. It's nice when I can give other people stuff away. And if anyone too that is listening or will be listening has any questions, like just reach out to me. I will, give you time on the phone. I'll, we can talk in the DMs, whatever. But I want to be as helpful as I can to anyone that either wants to jump into owning their own business or running a card shop in particular, or just whatever life. I'm here for people, and I know there are a lot of good people that were there for me, which is always critical. We all need people to bounce things off of. So you want to take me up on it? Go for it.
All right,
Excellent.
man.
It was nice talking with you tonight. You have a good rest of your night and tell your wife.
You guys have an awesome night. Thanks so much again for having me, guys.
Bye.
Be well.
Bye.